Hello friends, Kawa here. So, I'm very sorry that I wasn't here for Thursday to give you guys a video, so we're just going to condense it all into one single video instead of having a two-parter. We had a relatively successful week, quite a lot of fights to go through too. So, let's get the show on the road, seeing there is quite a lot to view. So, this is the first fight we got. As you can see, nothing super special. There was no Naga though, so this team is a 80 lift team, unless Sophis was a bonus. I don't really remember. I don't really pay attention to the mythic bonus unless it's like the offensive one, because that's the only one that really affects your lift score. This Lucina here does not have a seal, and this is a relatively standard build for Ike with no C disrupt. Yeah. So, their take on how to challenge my team is to try to face tank it. And as we all know, if you've been watching, that is not a good plan. You cannot face tank my team. At least not easily. And my team actually has so much range that they decided to go after Lucina. Thrasier went and killed Lucina, which in turn makes it so that Bike over there does not have his infantry breath ability. But even if he did, it makes no difference because Soph is holding a Cloud Mayoki, which nullifies Ike's Irvine's ability, where he makes it so that the opponent has to attack twice, and then he gets the attack, so he does damage reduction. But because Soph has the Cloud Mayogi, it has the Hardy Bearing ability, so that attack order cannot be changed. And so 3 units are killed, and more or less the team has won. There is hardly a chance that opposing 2 units can take on my 6. And they surrender. Moving on to the next one. This one here has Leif as their carry. Leif is going to be really popular for now, seeing that it is the water month. Until water season ends, he's going to be showing up all the time.
You should be honored.
So this team is more or less just Leif plus double dancers to attempt to kill as much as he can. And for the first few turns, he's just going to set up because Leif is technically a ranged Gale Force unit. So it takes some time to set him up so that he can get, where he needs to get, and to break certain buildings that will prevent him from doing so. Though they are huddling up and getting caught by sudden panic, so even though he did just break my panic manner, it doesn't matter as long as he's huddled up. They are going to get affected. So here's the most interesting thing. He goes up to Lilina and fails to kill Lilina by 1. I posted in the community section that people should do their calculations before attacking, which is true. But if you look at the visible numbers, Lilina was supposed to have died there. But the most important thing that he did not check was that Azura here is holding a silver goblet instead of holding the prayer wheel. The silver goblet gave Lilina a 4 defense buff, which was just enough to get Lilina to survive by 1 and return fire onto Leif. So when you guys do offense, make sure to always check the skills and weapons that the enemy is holding, because you can't just assume that Azura is holding a prayer wheel, because prayer wheel is only useful if you actually have buffs on your team. And my team has no buffs, so prayer wheel does nothing. So it was better to hold the silver goblet to give defensive stats to my allies, or just to have no weapon at all so Azura cannot get baited. But I prefer the silver goblet because it does give people around Azura an additional defensive buff, making it harder for you to kill them. And they just give up because they lost Leif. Right, on to the third one. So this one is a little weird. They have no seals here on Katria, Hector, and Lil Zora has no C skill. I would like to think that their carry is the Katria, but I don't know how she intends to get into the team and get out, seeing that she's holding Dragonic Aura. Face tanking obviously is not a choice because none of these units are strong enough, especially Hector here with 29 resist. He's not tanking much. So here is where I'm not confident what this person was trying to do with their setup. I felt like this team was maybe poorly constructed because there is no legit carry that lets you get deep into my territory, kill units, and get out. There's no hit and run here. And face tanking is not exactly an option. And also on top of that, his units are being huddled up in their setup and getting caught by sudden panic. So it's a fancy maneuvering, still setting up, looks like. It's turn 5 of 7, so he has to start making a move now.
You're a grown-up, aren't you?
And this is where Hector does his dual skill. Pops like 2 for 20, but no one goes and breaks the healing tower. So I'll just heal it off as though nothing happened. And here comes Lilina to kill her dad. And there's nothing you can do about that because Hector is not a good mage tank, and we're in animal season, so I'm definitely gonna have mages on my team.
Come on, show me a smile.
I'm a little bit impressed here that little Zora here survived. Well, would have survived with more merges. Seeing that it is red against green, and it's Lilina of all people.
I'll defeat you.
Nothing special here. Soph just killing dragons, what he does best. And our opponent continues. He kills off by Lilina with Katria. Kind of expected, nothing special. And here, the rest here loses by literally 1. It's really a merge. A merge and a flower would have fixed that. But I don't want to commit merges to Thracier, seeing she does have very premium fodder, and I don't like to give up premium fodder like that. At least until another panic smoke shows up onto like a more common unit, I would not merge on my Thracier. So here's the salty kill on Katria, and they're gonna lose because it's turned 7 to 7. They took too long to set up, and they couldn't. Even if they were aiming for the suicide kill, they took too long to set up to get it. So this one I also find really interesting that they brought Loki. I don't know what Loki's doing here because she's not using Thuk on any of my units. And outside of, I guess, her sudden panic and her infantry pulse, she's not really doing anything. But infantry pulse, I guess, sort of makes sense because he's hitting the Corrin and the Marth with it. But the sudden panic doesn't do anything to me. I don't carry buffs like that on my team. I have 0 buffs. So sudden panicking doesn't do anything. Actually, where is this coming from? Negative. Oh, these are chills? Yeah, these are chills. And instead, he actually has buffs. And Marth and Naga here don't have seals. It's like, okay, this is a plus 10 Corrin. She's light blessed though, so I don't quite understand what's the situation here. This Corrin is not Astro blessed. And then they just shoved Corrin in there against 2 Dragon Slayers. But to be fair, they are correct to make this type of play in the sense that it unit blocks me so that Thracier and Soph cannot attack her. though they forgot to account for the fact that Seliph will move forward and he will survive Corrin's damage thanks to his Tear Fang refine.
Please, please.
So Seliph lives, and Thracier comes in, trashes Corrin because there's nothing she can do about it. And then now, Seliph becomes a Wings of Mercy target, and everyone's just gonna start teleporting around.
I have to fight.
And yet again, Soph is killing a Naga. I feel like this is, I can make a compilation out of that, of Soph's killing Nagas.
We can see this through.
So, I kind of feel like this is the salty kill here. To kill my Thracier with Marth. It's like, okay.
I will protect everyone.
Poor Seliph here misses the kill by 10. Nothing really he could do about it. I'm not sure, like, because he's using Ruptured Sky right now. Maybe Bonfire would have been better. Bonfire might have assured the kill. But how necessary was it for him to get the kill on Loki? Seeing that Marth here dies. And the rest of them should die in a few seconds. I don't know, like, I might change Seliph back to Bonfire, but I don't see the absolute necessity behind it. See, he doesn't really do much, and then the Ruptured Sky is to check as a dragon check in the event that Thracier and Soph somehow could not check the dragon for some reason. That was a little bit upsetting that Soph failed to kill the Zora by 4. It's because it's merged plus 2. Oh, she wanted the speed check. That's just Fury. I guess I'll explain it.
Care for an encore?
Yeah, I wasn't sure what was happening here. there was no way that Zero was killing my Lolina at full life. Alright, and onward we go. Still with our chain of successes. No one has properly tackled our team yet.
Good luck.
Which means that I really don't need to spend further resources on this team. I was, if anything, going to give more merges to Lolina, max her out at plus 10, but it doesn't seem like she needs it. She's doing her job really well at just plus 6. And, like, you know, like if her plus 10, it's just like, oh, she's just win harder because she's already, like, nuking things and nothing really can survive her. So this was really interesting. He went in on Seliph for some reason. Failed to kill Seliph and backed off. And now it's time for my team to start moving and murdering as usual.
All will perish. Forgive me.
So this is also, I wanted to point out, a great example of how IP teams are really relatively cheap to build because you can get away with a lot of 3 and 4 star units. The only thing you really need is like the premium skills, the infantry pulse itself, and usually the impact skills that you would want to use. You can get away with not using impacts, but you know, it makes the team stronger. So if you do want to go forward with building a infantry pulse team, I always tell people, I suggest you to look into the 3 and 4 star pool first, pick out the units you're looking for, set up the IP chain, and then just flesh out the skills afterward. Because you don't have to use the impact skills right away like I am. You can just be using like Death Blow, Fury, stuff like that. And just integrate sturdy impacts and stuff into your team as you get them. Like, more or less, this is a team that's worth investing over time, especially if you want to climb Aether raids. Like, every option that I'm using, there is a substitute for it. It's not as optimal, but it is a legit substitute, such as the Myogi could be substituted with the Cleaner. Sturdy Impacts could be changed up with, I guess, Death Blow, Fury, almost anything that will give you stats in combat. You don't have to play Thrasier if you don't want the defense mythic. The only thing that you really do absolutely need is the Azura to set up the rally trap. But Azura is something that you should at least have one copy of at all times. So it's something that I can't just tell you, oh, you can replace her. Because she's not really that easy to replace. There are obviously infantry pulse teams where you don't use her, and instead you use a like Ninian or something. But I would suggest you just pick up one Azura and just use her. So as you see, this one is Leif again. What's new? This one is a +1 Leif with a Fury for, what is this, Vantage. So he doesn't have close counter, so I guess he's pretty confident about picking off my melee unit.
Cheer up, okay?
So again, they're all huddled up and catching sudden panic. So they finally separate this time, so they're no longer caught by sudden panic. Smites in. Steps onto a trap.
We can see this through.
And has to get out of there.
Cheer up, okay?
So let's see what he does. Goes after Sylvia. But then he leaves himself stranded there. That's why I don't understand the Leif play too much. Because, yeah, you killed my 2 of my 3 frontliners. But now you're just stranded yourself there. What's stopping me from killing 2 of your units now? Because your Leif is guaranteed to die because he's kind of stuck there. And then our opponent concedes. He could have kind of continued, but he was a little low on turns. And he would most likely lose at least 1 more unit, in my opinion, because that sell-off was still really healthy and ready to fight. And yet again, we run into Leif. Again. This time he is at +2, and he is ready to Gale Force us because he has the Quicken Pulse.
Here, this will help.
So trap testing of a cav unit, relatively standard stuff there. And here comes Leif. Yet again to kill Soph because Soph is holding a hardy bearing and he's in the front line.
You watching?
This was interesting for him to hit and run like that. Not saying it's a bad choice, because it was actually the appropriate move to do because he got out of my range. Well, until now. he was perfectly safe until now. He didn't really calculate the movement properly. And it got his Leaf far enough away from Thrasier. So that was the right play, but I think he miscalculated how far Thrasier would move after she rallies. This one here is Bethcam here. +1, and her stats are really ridiculous, seeing she is a bonus unit. She's a really good unit for those who need a tank. I prefer her on Light Season though, but I guess she can perform on Astra too. And we have Kranya here. I personally am not a great fan of Kranya, but I see that she is relatively decent, but there are times where you're just like, oh, Kranya, come on, man, you can do some more damage. Because her attack stat is really low. She has 54, well, she has a 48 base. It's really low. And this is a +3 one. This Naga is relatively naked. It doesn't have an A skill, and it doesn't have a Sacred Seal. So, trap testing as usual.
Cheer up, okay?
Placements of your traps are very important for situations like this, so that your opponent can't enter your territory without at least remotely testing your traps.
We can see this through.
So, turn 5 or 7, they're still setting up. Haven't gotten the Aether pots yet,
Cheer
but
up,
they're still
okay?
looking for an opening to get in, which is really interesting because they finally decide to come in now. To hit Sylvia and trigger her trigger dagger abilities on Kranya.
The water's fine.
So this is where it's extra questionable because the healing tower mines is still here, so Kranya is not able to vantage us. And because we healed, the Savage Blow damage went away, so the rest here takes on Camilla with no problem because I'm not hurt thanks to my healing tower. And yet again, because I'm not hurt thanks to my healing tower, Kranya does not have vantage over us. But though, to be fair, I feel like my healing tower is in a spot that's very hard to get to because it's very deep into my territory, and to get it and get out is really hard. See, my team has really good reach.
How could I lose? We can see this through.
So this here again is Lelina merges. Like, if I just gave her merges to some flowers, she definitely would have picked up this kill. But at the same time, does this kill really matter? Like, the kill is not backbreaking, so I don't feel like I needed the kill. But if I wanted it, I have to get my Lelina more merges and some flowers. Alright, and these are the last two fights coming up. We ran into Leif yet again, and we actually lose this one because our opponent suicides one unit into us and to break my formation. Oh, we just show you guys, this is Ellie Wood here. Gale Force, literally Gale Force. So this team is relatively well built with the exception of why Marth does not have a seal. Level 5 Panic Mana on offense. This is another reason why I don't bring buffs on my defense team. Because you don't know when people bring level 5 Panic Mana on offense. So by my teammates not having buffs, I nullify that whole building, that whole level 5 building.
We can see this through.
As usual, setting up, making more space for themselves to maneuver through. And straight in, target Lelina. This here yet again, she would have survived with merges. I don't know, I'm saying it so much now that I feel like maybe I'm obliged to give Lelina her final 4 merges so that there isn't a repeat of things like this. So this is where he suicides his Leif into us. He sacrifices Leif, but in turn wins the fight because he sacrifices Leif.
How about a dance? That'll cheer you up.
So as you see, by sacrificing Leif, he made my units get out of formation. And then just by ending turn, because we can't reach him, and our dancers can't reach these attackers, he has the pick where, you know, he can just attack wherever the hell he wants.
Cheer up, okay?
And, you know, Self here, Self doesn't do much by himself. He's, kind of crappy. He doesn't really do too much.
With all my strength.
Find my flame.
And as I said, you know, Self is kind of crappy. I'm not sure if he would have killed this Naga. Because this Naga is... No, there was no way for Self to kill the Naga. Even with Bonfire, I don't think he kills her. Because he's kind of crappy. His job is just kind of just soak damage. So this one, our opponent got a clean kill on us. luckily for us, we were immune, so we lost no lift. And I could just sum it all up to the fact that we lost to Leif plus Bridal Fiorm. Bridal Fiorm and her stupid staff is a pain in my neck, and there's not much I can do about it.
We can see this through.
At least not on this team. There's not much I can do about it because by hitting the isolation onto someone like Azura, there's no amount of merges or things that you can do to get Azura out of range of Bridal Fiorm's staff.
Cheer up, okay?
And then poor Soul here gets picked on. Exact death. There's no way to get him to survive that outside of a drive defense or something for someone. Seeing that my Solf is already at, I believe, 7 flowers, 10 merges, so there's no way for him to survive that. And here is where Fiorm's staff became a pain in my neck. Because of Fiorm's staff, Azura could not receive assist skills, nor could she use assist skills. So there was no way for Thrasier to do her play, and then like for Thrasier to rally, and then catch a dance from Azura, which in turn would set Thrasier to kill. But because of the Brass staff, that all fell through. And he's allowed to do a hit and run with Leif. And yeah, more or less, I could do nothing about it because we were all shut down and we couldn't chase him down. Also, them having a tactics room on lane 3 here was very painful too.
Cheer up, okay?
So this is it's his hit and run strategy. Instead of like Gale forcing us, he's just hitting and running.
B1.
So this was very good use of Bridal Fiorm also. You have to know more or less or predict where the AI is going to move if you're going to use Bridal Fiorm. Same with Loki, but Bridal Fiorm is a little more important because you need to know about the assist skills too. So this was a relatively clean win, thanks to the fact that they were able to hit and run through my team with Leif. The combination of Fiorm and the tactic room, shutting my chase down. And yeah, that's it for the season. We had a lot of fights, a good chain of successes. We had one suicide win, and one that was just, we were just completely outmatched. There was nothing we could have did about it. And they rematched us. So I beat their map at some point, and then they came back for vengeance. Alright, so for next week, we get to see my Yoon team in action. Our Eliwood is complete now. He is using Ignis though, so we're just gonna see how strong of an attacker Eliwood's gonna be starting tomorrow. You guys will see the results on Thursday. Yeah, till then, see you guys later. Bye.